All right, let's talk about tarot, but maybe not in the way you're used to thinking about it. Forget the whole fortune-telling crystal ball vibe for a second. Today, we're going to break down a really common method, the three-card spread, and look at it as a tool for, well, self-reflection, for taking a look at your own thoughts from a different angle. Ready to see how it works? Let's dive in. I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. The popular idea of tarot is all wrapped up in this mystical, future-predicting stuff. But what if it was never really about that? What if, at its heart, it's more like a game? You know, a system with a set of rules and a bit of chance, designed not to tell you what's going to happen, but to help you make sense of what's happening right now. So let's break this down. You've kind of got two different ways of looking at tarot. On one side, you have all the common misconceptions. You know, the occult predictions, mystical fortune-telling, all that complex magic stuff. But on the other side, you have a totally different perspective. Seeing it as an analysis tool, a way to interpret life, and something that involves statistics, odds, and luck. It's a whole different mindset.
Okay, so if we're treating this as an analytical process, where do we even start? Well, it all begins with a really clear, methodical setup. And no, you don't need any incense or fancy crystals. This is all about creating a focused space for thinking. The setup itself has 4 pretty simple steps. First, the person who's getting the reading, we'll call them the subject. They just set a quiet intention. Basically, they're hoping to learn something useful. Then the cards get a really good shuffle, just like a regular deck of playing cards. Next, they're all mixed up on the table in this loose pile called a fishbowl. And finally, the subject is encouraged to just reach in and pick 3 cards without thinking too much about it. What's really key here is how involved the person is. Their own actions help to randomize the whole thing. So you've got your 3 cards. Now what? Well, this is where the story starts to take shape. Those 3 cards are about to be laid out to give you a kind of snapshot, a picture of a situation as it moves through time. And the layout is super straightforward, but it's really effective. You have 3 positions: the past, the present, and the future. The first card goes in the past spot, the second in the present, and the third in the future. See? Each position gives its card a specific job, a context. It turns what were just 3 random cards into a story with a beginning, middle, and potential end. So, for the past, our first card is the 7 of Cups. In a lot of tarot systems, this card is all about having a ton of choices, a lot of options, maybe even being a little lost in daydreams or fantasies. So right away, that sets the scene for what comes next. And for the present, we've got the 4 of Swords. This card often points to a time of rest, of quiet thinking, maybe even needing to step back from a situation to get some perspective. It connects really nicely to that past full of choices, right? It suggests that now is the time to be still and think things through. And finally, the future card is the Lovers. Now, this isn't always about romance. More often, it's about a big, important choice. It's about 2 things coming together, finding some kind of harmony. It suggests that the path forward involves making a really significant decision. But, you know, sometimes a reading is so spot on, it feels like it's describing your situation perfectly, but you just feel like there's one more piece to the puzzle. Sometimes, you need to go just one layer deeper to really get it. And that brings us to a really interesting point. When the cards lay out a story that feels exactly right, the big question becomes, okay, so what? Where is all of this actually headed? What's the bottom line? This is where something called the Clarifier card comes in. It's not just another random card you pick from the pile. It's literally the top card of the deck that's left over. The thinking is that this card is where it is for a reason, and its job is to shed some extra light on that final outcome. So in this reading, the Clarifier is the Queen of Cups. This card is often seen as a symbol of emotional intelligence, of being really intuitive and compassionate. So what does it mean when you put it on top of the Lovers? It suggests that the big future choice isn't just a logical one. It's a decision that needs to be made with a lot of heart and intuition. All right, the cards are on the table, the story's been told. But we're not done yet. In fact, this next part might just be the most important step in this whole analytical approach. And it's simple: taking notes. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? If we're really using tarot as a tool to understand ourselves, then the things we uncover are valuable. They're like data points. It's not just some fleeting conversation, it's information that's worth holding on to and thinking about later. So why bother writing it down? I mean, really, Well, first off, you're preserving what was said, so you can look at it again later. And let's be real, it's hard to remember everything from a detailed conversation. This way, you can even go back over time and see how the interpretation holds up. Plus, there's something about the physical act of writing that really helps to, burn the information into your brain.
And here's the last step, and it's specifically for the person who got the reading. They don't just get handed the notes. The instruction is for them to copy the notes down themselves, in their own handwriting. It's a powerful little action. It makes you internalize the insights and really take ownership of the whole analysis.
So, here's a thought to leave you with. If a tarot reading isn't about some magical future prediction, but it's more like a mirror, just reflecting back our own story, what is the real value in keeping a written record of that reflection? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.